So this is Undiet Monday. So welcome to my little space here on Substack in the internet or however you're finding this. And in particular today, I want to share with you some insight I've gathered over the years on how to pick the right PCOS supplement for you. Now, if you don't have PCOS, this is also some recommendations that I have used myself. I don't have PCOS, I have insulin resistance. And so some of the supplements that I talk about, I've used and some I haven't. But even if you don't have PCOS, it's something that you may find helpful, or forward it to someone you know with PCOS and help them out. Because one thing I've learned about PCOS is like we have known about this condition for over 100 years, but there still are no like FDA approved medications for it. So many people have this condition. So, like people who sell supplements, they have these loopholes where they don't have to have a lot of quality markers. And it's a great marketing opportunity to help a group of people who are underserved, and it's a large group of people. And there are supplements that I have found to be super helpful for PCOS and insulin resistance, but also like there's a lot of crap out there. So I want to give you that heads up. And also at the end, what I want to share with you is just a little bit more about what's going on this week in the Find Your Food Voice universe, some projects I'm working on, but then also a new way to work with me that I haven't done in like 5 years. So I'm excited to share that all with you. And that'll be at the end. But let's get to this Undiet Monday lesson. And okay, so if you are wanting to add a supplement to help your PCOS, the very first thing that I encourage you to do, and this is what I always would ask my clients, is like, what about PCOS are you most annoyed with? Like, what is your biggest complaint? And I think it's really important because you're going to get a lot of marketing to fit kind of like this generic kind of PCOS umbrella. But as you probably know, if you have PCOS or you know someone who does, like there's a lot of different ways that PCOS shows up in the body, and it can vary just because of how PCOS is diagnosed. So, what are the big complaints? What are the things that are driving you the most bananas? The number one complaint I've gotten over the years has been fatigue, like just painful exhaustion, and kind of also along those same lines, some issues with sleep. Now, 75% of people with PCOS have some kind of sleep disorder. So a supplement's not necessarily going to help with that. And it can also be an adjunct to any therapy you may be doing to help with the sleep disorder. But the other one, besides fatigue, the other most common symptom as a dietitian that I would hear is about the really kind of primal carbohydrate cravings. So if you're someone with PCOS that has talked about how like you can't walk past a plate of brownies or just like all you want to have is like spaghetti, which those are not bad. And if you notice like the cravings are insatiable and you may even feel like really sluggish after eating them, there's something going on with that. And that's something that I talk a lot about with people in PCOS Power is like those cravings are really great ways to know what your body is needing. And so, yeah, if you are experiencing those cravings, the other thing that I know a lot of people talk about is like their cycles being irregular, but yet, I know a lot of people that I work with PCOS, fertility is not their big thing that they're really wanting to focus on. And I find that like that's the thing that's easiest to find on the internet, and like most research is focused on the fertility side. So, but yeah, if you want to have more regular cycles, and then the other one is lab values. If you have a higher A1C or high triglycerides, high cholesterol, or you're anemic, so your iron levels are low. Those are all kind of symptoms that people have told me about, and really like writing all of them down and maybe even ranking them. So I'm going to read some of the comments here. Hey, Rachel, you're saying by far hirsutism. Yes. Oh, spirulactone didn't work. Trying spearmint tea now, but I wish I could find a magic cure. I wish there was a magic cure. Oh my gosh. And you're certainly going to get marketed to like that someone's going to have this flashy magic cure. And I'm bummed that spirulactone didn't work. That is like the big guns, in the spirit and the hirsutism world. But like the any like anything from the high circulating androgens, whether it's a hirsutism, which if you're not sure what that word means, it's facial hair and I don't know, like the clinical way. There's probably a clinical way to say it, but a lot of my clients are like, I have hair in the places I don't want it, and I'm losing hair in places I don't want to lose it. Um, and part of that's hirsutism, part of that is the what is it called? Androgenic alopecia, or like hair loss on the head. But yeah, anything that you may get from high androgens. The other one, of course, is the painful acne. Those are the things that I find to be the hardest to treat for PCOS. And a lot of it is because when androgens have been circulating for a really long time, it takes a long time for the side effects to go away. Even if it normalizes the androgens, if that's something that you're wanting to do, um, sometimes the side effects will stay there for a really long time. So yeah, you may find that you need a few layers. But the spearmint tea definitely has research behind it. You have to really like it. That's the thing. Like, you have to really like the spearmint tea because you'll have to drink it. Isn't it like 3 times a day or something like that every day? Um, and Bex, you're mentioning the fatigue and post meal sluggishness. Yes. Yeah, so much of that fatigue is from the inflammation, but also the high insulin levels, like those together, which are the kind of the classic, um, the and insulin and inflammation being higher, the two classic kind of pillars of causing symptoms for PCOS. So yeah, finding interventions that target those will help with fatigue and the post meal sluggishness. And ironically, Bex and Rachel, I don't know if you know each other, but like those interventions also can help with hirsutism. Like, however you can bring down insulin can help bring down androgens, and however you bring down androgens can bring down insulin. So yeah, it can be a party. So, with that being said, after you have the symptoms ranked, the other thing that I kind of move to next is like, how do you know which ones to choose? And this is where it can get really complicated because uh, there's a gold standard way to know, and there's a way as a dietitian that I used to like blankly say, like, only pick supplements that are third party tested. Like, that was something that I was preaching all the time. Yet, um, third-party testing is ideal. So what that means is supplements companies, they can kinda just make whatever they want and say whatever they want. There's some liability, like, if they cause harm, but, they can kinda say, like, "Oh, this supplement helps with hirsutism or helps with fatigue." The thing that I am most often am seeing right now with supplements and PCOS in particular is this is the supplement that fixes all of PCOS, and I'm gonna talk about that in a second. But, um, what I was really hard, is that they can say those things, and they can put a label on what's in it, but they don't have to prove it. Like, it can say whatever, basically, and then there's some fine print where they're like, "We basically can't promise you that this is gonna do anything." So if you find a supplement that is third party tested, what that basically means is that they pay an outside organization to come in and test the ingredients to make sure that you are actually getting what you say they're getting. And you're also not getting something that you're not supposed to get. So there's lots of stories about supplements adding in ingredients that are just cheaper and not really what they say they are in order to sell a product at a lower price and things like that. So, if you can access third party tested supplements, that is the ideal. And it's very expensive for a company to be able to do this. So, you may find someone who highly recommends a supplement, or someone who's used one and they've liked it a lot. That may be good enough for you. And I don't want to discourage someone to like never pick those, because I think that's just keeping options off. That may be just fine. And certainly newer supplements, eventually, I've seen some eventually be able to afford the third party testing. So, and some that I've worked with and used myself, they've been in business long enough where they were able to sell enough and then they were able to do third party testing. So, Something that I have found to be kind of a nice loophole in this area is if you contact the company and see who you can talk to about what's actually in the product, maybe find out where they source it. And, getting that kind of information, it kind of shows what kind of customer service they're providing, um, how honest they are really about their product. And if they kind of give you the runaround or some blanket cut and paste response, then this may not be the best choice for me. And the supplements that I recommend in PCOS Power or on Find Your Food Voice, those are all ones where I've gotten to know the people at the company and really trust because they've talked to me about those kinds of things. They've said like, oh, I get the D-Chiro portion of the inositol supplement in Spain, and then I get the Mayo from. I know a lot of people get the Mayo inositol from somewhere in the U.S. Anyway, it's a very interesting kind of thing that where people get these things. Anyway, with that being said, um, having a referral, if it's not third party trusted, can be great and maybe good enough for you. The other thing I would also say about like how do you know which ones to choose? Some pharmacists can be fabulous, and you don't necessarily need to like use that pharmacy oftentimes to be able to get the information from a pharmacist. Certainly, we can go to like a Walgreens or CVS or something, and they may be able to give us information. But I worry about the pharmacists. They work so dang hard and have long hours, and I think finally they have uh made it so they can have like lunch breaks now. And but I know that they're like really overworked, just like many other jobs. But what I have found is the pharmacists at grocery stores are the best at customer service. And I had some inside scoop on why this happens. And it's because whenever there's a pharmacy in a building where it's just an add-on or a nice perk. Those are pharmacists that usually have a little bit more time and they are more customer service directed. Like it's a service there to make it so the customers like coming back. And the grocery store pharmacists, oftentimes, that's what that is. And so those are the ones that I've asked questions about for my own supplements. And they've been able to give me some insight like, these are the medications I'm on. Can I take this supplement? And yeah, so use that resource for sure. Okay. So next up, after how you know which one to choose, like what kind of company, um, looking at what's next. I mentioned earlier, there's a lot of PCOS in particular, PCOS supplements that are these kind of like blanket all for you supplements. And they have like everything in it. And this could be a great choice for you. Like, I don't want to say that they should never be used, but I encourage you to start with one ingredient first type supplements. And in particular with PCOS, because again, if you are trying to treat a particular symptom or lab value, you want to know actually what is helping. And it's probably not the whole package of what some of these supplement companies are selling. And also, the thing about those total package supplements is oftentimes they have such a small amount of each ingredient that I don't think it's going to be therapeutic for most people. The only exception is for some folks with PCOS who are younger or have very little concerns or symptoms related to insulin and also haven't dieted a lot. So the inflammation levels have been lower. And so if you are younger with PCOS and have not really been dieting, which we need to study how you were able to avoid dieting. That's great. Continue to avoid dieting. But you've been like eating enough. You may find those supplements work fine. But for the rest of us, those are just not going to be enough. Like the supplements I've seen, they often will have too little inositol to help with cravings or cycles, not enough omega-3 to help with inflammation and that painful fatigue, not enough iron to help with anemia. It's kind of just like this sprinkle instead of targeting. And yeah, you want to know which ingredient in particular is helping and which is not. Um, so yeah, I think that that's just the way that I encourage anyone to target it. And So stick with a single ingredient first. The kind of exceptions, I see Bex, I see your comment about the Myo and D-Chiro. So this is, I want to read what you said right now. Let's see. I take a Myo and D-Chiro inositol supplement from Wholesome Story, which does third-party testing through Clean Label Project. Awesome. I love that. Yeah, the Wholesome Story brand, that is a brand of supplements that has so many wins associated with it. And one of them is that it is super accessible because you can get it on Amazon. It's the cheapest per milligram of inositol that I have found still, and it's third party tested. So it's on the short list of inositol supplements that I've always like kept in my brain of ones that I would recommend with like full support. Um, is the Wholesome Story, and of course the other one is by Theralogics, the Ovasitol, or the one by Elon Healthcare, which is Ovofolic. And I've used all three of them for my own insulin resistance, and they all have worked fine. And the thing about the Wholesome Story one is that is one that is in a capsule form, and so that's the one I take with me when I travel instead of carrying around the big canister of powder. Um, and so that way I don't have to worry about like mixing it into something, and it's just easier for travel. But the thing I will mention about this, the kind of goes, it's like something I could probably teach on is just like how to pick an inositol supplement. But the one thing with the Wholesome Story to be careful with is that they have the serving size as 4 capsules, and that is only half of a dose than is recommended for PCOS. It's actually 8 capsules a day. It's still the cheapest per milligram of inositol. Last time I did the calculations, even with 8 per day. Yet, the thing on the label says 4 per day, unless it's changed in the last year. But um, when I say that, we could go into the nuance of like dosing inositol supplementation with PCOS because it can vary, but the most studied is 2,050 milligrams twice a day, and 4 capsules only gives you the once per day. So that being said, let me move to let me look at my notes here. How long, or like when to know if it's working or not. So that's why I always encourage people to start with like, what is the most annoying thing with your PCOS right now? Like, what's driving you bananas, and rank the banana driver by like the top 3 or something. Because give yourself at least 90 days to see if that supplement is actually helping you. And a lot of supplements need at least 3 months to get to the point where they start to have their full effect. Certainly, if carbohydrate cravings are one of your big whammies, inositol may impact you within just a few days. You may notice a difference. I love hearing when that happens because especially that quick, I'm like, oh, that's so great. Um, but yeah, even for inositol, it takes a good 3 months to really get to the cellular level and be able to help with things like androgens and helping with cycles and things like that. But there are some that take closer to 6 months to start really having an effect. And in particular, I know fatigue is one that you mentioned, Bex, is like one of the big issues that you have. I have found that supplements do take about 6 months to impact fatigue levels. That is a long time. Like basically start it now. And when you're having Happy New Year's is when you're going to be able to figure out if it worked or not for you. And this is complicated because it's also hard to remember to take supplements like as directed and things like that. So, I don't know. I just want to name that sucks. It just takes a long time. But in particular, if inflammation is behind a lot of your symptoms, making sure you are eating enough consistently and taking an omega-3 supplement, those are the interventions that I teach people in PCOS Power. Um, that takes like 6 months, yeah, to really get to the point where you notice, okay, I can tell I'm feeling better. Um, and it usually takes about 6 months to show up in lab work too. The inositol one does take less time to show up on lab work for a lot of people. And anyway, so with that being said, I think I have a few other ideas about supplements. So I'm like, I need to write down for like what we need to talk about also, like, because I'm thinking about like, how do you remember to take your supplements? Like, I think I could do a whole lesson on that because um, clients have taught me so many cool things to help remember to take supplements. So I want to share those with you. And yeah, how to know if it's working. Like what, especially like certain things, like if you have hirsutism and you're trying different, the spearmint tea, maybe then the spearmint tea works, but you still want to have more. You could add something to it, like how to know when it's time to add. I think that's another video. With that all being said, I want to share with you a few things that I'm working on in the Find Your Food Voice universe. Last week, I recorded an interview with Becca King, and Becca is the ADHD nutritionist over on Instagram. And I had her on the podcast 3 years ago, and she just came out with a book. I was super excited to see it. I'm not on Instagram anymore, so I kind of lost contact with her. And so when my book came out in March, I think her book came out like the week after me, and I saw it and I was like, "Oh, this is so exciting," because she made a non-diet ADHD book for adults. And of course, so many people with insulin resistance and PCOS have ADHD too. So I was like, can we chat? So I got a chance to review her book. It is so great. I actually think anyone with like any kind of either neurodivergence or just has like need some to relearn some skills on how to feed yourself, like some of the practical knowledge that has been really disrupted by diet culture. This book is great. I was just talking to my teenager at home. She's done with high school for the summer. And I was like, oh, there's a section in the book I think would be really great for you to go through as you're getting ready for college next year. Not this next year, but like a year from now. I have this thing about my kids. I'm like, there's certain skills I want you to have before you go to college. And like just knowing like how to feed yourself is something that I want her to be able to do. But so much of the tools that I find are too diety, and I'm like, no, I'd rather her just depend on DoorDash than have like diet culture. But Becca's book is really good. Anyway, I'm getting lost in the conversation. But I wanted to tell you, I recorded the interview with her, and we just take a deep dive into ADHD and PCOS. And I'm going to be editing it this week and kind of fine tuning it. And that's going to be coming out next week. So I'm really excited about that. And I'm almost done reviewing Unapologetic Aging. It's a book by Dent Benfield that's coming out, I believe, in December. So I'm so honored. I got like a preview copy, and it is so fucking good. And she's like asking the right person to review it. I just turned 50. So a book about aging through the lens of body liberation. Yes, that's exactly what I need. And it's been so great. So like I mentioned, my oldest kid is done with school for the summer. My last one has just a few more days. So I'm kind of getting into that mode of like, all right, it's the next season. It's the summer season. I love it because I don't like getting up early to help everybody get off to school. So I can kind of adjust my clock to be more aligned with me. And what I want to share with you is that I have some new ways to work with me. PCOS Power is a membership that I've had running for many years now. And it's a monthly membership. People join and can come and go as they want. And it's a place that's non-diet and helps you to be able to pick supplements like I was talking about before, or how has like information on how to pick the labs to ask your doctor for, and also like a way to ask me questions. And it's all kind of been in a place that it's in Circle. So it's kind of like a Facebook-like community, but not on Facebook. But nobody had a way to actually like meet with me on Zoom or to actually talk to me live. When you join PCOS Power, that membership, you can ask me questions anytime. You just tag me and I'll answer your question as you're going through the material. But now that my sleep schedule is going to be enhanced because it's summertime, I was like, why don't I try working with clients again? Like, what could this be like? And I haven't worked with clients one-on-one in 5 years. So this is a big new thing for me. And part of it was like I was in a season for the last few years where I just didn't have the bandwidth. You may or may not know this, but I got divorced in the last few years. So I obviously had my own stress going on. And I live with chronic migraine and sleep disruption, stress, also like seasonal allergies. Those all make my migraines worse. Well, I I still have migraine, but, what I found earlier, like before 2020 is the more clients I saw, the more migraines I had. Well, now that all these other stressors are I'm not having to deal with, um, I feel like my window of tolerance is just more, and so I don't get as many migraines. And it's for the amount I get, I can use my medication. Basically, I don't know, if you have migraine, you probably understand what I mean. You can only, like, take the medicine so often. So anyway, I'm gonna try and see clients and see how it goes. So the way that I'm doing this is basically you join PCOS Power and it's a monthly kind of thing. So you can just do it for 1 month if you want. And if you don't like it or if you got all you needed, because you may get all you need in a month, then that's great. But it's in every month you get a one-on-one session with me, but then you also can ask me questions via like a voice note. I use Voxer and I love Voxer. So if you even can't schedule because of like time zones or something like that, we could Voxer and you can get all your questions answered. Like whenever I've worked with people over Voxer within PCOS Power, because it's something that every once in a while I would experiment with, people would tell me like I got more out of this Voxer session with you than I did over the last 3 years with a dietitian. And I'm like, this is the power of Voxer. Like there's just something about being able to ask a question and not worry about scheduling an appointment. And and also like for me to answer your question, but then you have then time to think about it and apply it and then come back and ask more. So all that information you can find on my website. I'm going to send a summary. I always do like a summary of the on Diet Mondays, and I send them out the next day. So you'll get that on Tuesday, and I'll have all the links in there for you so you can get to it. But if you go to my website, julieduffydillon.com, and just click on membership, you'll see it there, and there's all the information. And also, if you're like, I need some clarity, would that be a next step for me? I do have a way for you to also just schedule a pop in kind of discovery call and just find out if it's the right fit for you. The I keep this membership kind of always open. I don't do launches. That's going to set me up for a migraine. So I just keep them open. But I am limiting the amount of clients that I work with again for self care. So it's only going to be 10 people that I'll be able to do this kind of one-on-one work with. So once that fills up, then I'll just turn off the signups for that. Um, but yeah, it'll be open until it fills, basically. So that is all I have for today. And thank you so much for joining live. It was so great to connect with you. And if you caught the replay, thanks for catching the replay, making time for it. I will be back next week with another lesson. If there is any kind of question that you have that you would like me to do a good 15-20 minute deep dive on, let me know. Put it in the comments or send me an email or comment on anything and just let me know. I would love to just, yeah, whatever you're looking for. I mean, there's a million topics that we can explore, and I want to give you what you need. So just let me know. All right. Bye for now.